Hey everyone, this is Hornbingle with something different. Lately, I've been obsessed with Rooster Teeth's epic web anime series, RWBY. What's not to love? When engaging conversations and character studies are broken up periodically by some of the best choreographed action sequences ever put to animation, that's the sign of a great series. But this video isn't just a list of what makes RWBY great. It's a list of who makes it great. Dialogue and character studies are wasted if the characters being studied are uninteresting or not relatable. That's why I made this list to give my opinion on what are my 5 favorite characters in RWBY. I only have 2 qualifications for this list. Number 1, these are my favorite characters. I acknowledge that since I just watched the show for fun, I don't really have a valid opinion on what makes a character objectively good or not. So if a character you like isn't here, it just means they aren't one of my personal favorites. Number 2, the character must have at least one line of dialogue. Fortunately, almost every character who appears on screen makes this qualification. Unfortunately, the one character I can think of who doesn't is the core pirate cameo. On with the countdown. I know it might be seen as cliché to put the main character in the lowest spot on a list to at once pander to the creator and also dispute them by putting her in the lowest possible spot, but that isn't why Ruby Rose is on this list. She's on this list because the writers did a great job of making me care for her. She started out as I imagine any 15-year-old girl would when assigned as the leader of a group. Afraid. Afraid to let her team down because she didn't have enough combat experience or she wasn't smart enough. So, pretty much like me on any group project I've ever been assigned. Even though Weiss pretty much did everything she could to demoralize her, Ruby dedicated herself entirely to becoming the best leader Team RWBY could have, both on the battlefield and off of it. All of this while still keeping Ruby true to her character. Ruby starts the series as a girl who embodies innocence and being a child. Even after all of her wonderful development, she still has those traits. It's refreshing to see a character grow so much and yet keep the things that make them unique. Also, it's funny to think that this is how she prepares her team for every mission.
Alright! Weiss, Blake, Yang, and their fearless leader Ruby have begun their first mission. Bonsai!
Bonsai!
To be on this list, characters have to be good in a fight. As Blake says,
If you can't fight, you can't survive.
that's why the character who wins the number 4 spot is the best fighter in the series.
I'm proud to run a school that accepts individuals, but perhaps victory is in the simpler things that you've long forgotten. Things that require a smaller, more honest soul.
Or maybe not. Professor Ozpin may not have so much as launched a single attack, not even in this episode, but he doesn't need to. The writers seem to have foregone his combat abilities in order to maximize his knowledge and wisdom. It seems that every time he's on screen, Ozpin is solving a problem or giving advice, even if he can sometimes be a little strange.
If you think about it, fighting and dancing aren't so different. 2 partners interlocked, although one wrong move on the ballroom merely leads to a swollen foot.
Even with that weirdness, he's trusted by everyone at Beacon Academy, and it's easy to see why. When RWBY goes to him with concerns that he chose the wrong leader for Team RWBY, Ozpin told her that she is the best person for the job, which she became.
Justice will be swift! Justice will be painful! It will be delicious!
When he isn't used to tell the audience exposition, which he does quite a lot,
They taught you to use one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed?
This day, nearly 80 years ago, the largest war in recorded history came to an end. I understand travel between kingdoms has become increasingly difficult. Running an academy and a military makes him a busy man.
he's the trusted advisor of pretty much everyone.
And do exactly as he
Everyone
says.
except for Professor James Ironwood. To hear Ironwood tell it, Ozpin has been his loyal friend for many years. For some reason, though, Ironwood treats his friend with constant suspicion, arguing with him on every point and always urging an attack on their enemies. That's why I prefer Ozpin to Ironwood. Ironwood tells everyone that he trusts people, while Ozpin shows trust.
I thought you said
He trusted RWBY to lead, he trusted her team to defeat a branch of a crime network, which they did, and he even trusted Ironwood to take charge of the Vital Festival when his superiors told him to relinquish control. Putting that much faith in people might be dangerous, but it's also a great way to end up on this list.
If you are not always performing at your absolute best, then what reason do you give others to follow you?
RWBY is a show named for a team, is about teams, and encourages teamwork. Now, which character believes themselves to be the embodiment of this trait?
I do, sir.
While Weiss Schnee started the series as the stereotypical "I'm too good to be told what to do" character, which a lot of shows have, she basically got told by Professor Port that she can't always get what she wants.
That's preposterous.
And I have to believe that Port's semblance is super persuasion or something, because Weiss took his words to heart. After that conversation, Weiss was the most supportive member of Team RWBY.
I'm sure that
Most of the time.
You're all right. You want to know why I despise the White Fang? It's because they're a bunch of liars, thieves, and murderers.
Life-altering trauma aside, Weiss stresses the importance of doing things together whenever it's important to do so.
We should do it as a team. I got it! I, for one.
That's not to say she became a paragon of respect and politeness. Whatever meanness she had at the start of the series, Weiss still has, and it comes out in the best way possible. Just like RWBY, Weiss goes through development without letting it change her personality. She may have a better attitude toward cooperation, but she's still Weiss Schnee, the Ice Queen.
Answer the question. No, you duns. Are you done? That sounds dumb. That's wrong, by the way.
But there is nothing snarky or selfish about Weiss on the battlefield. Her main role seems to be that of a supporter, or one who sets up victory for others rather than herself. Her glyphs are shown as overpowered to the point of being broken when she uses them to attack, but she instead opts to use them either defensively or in spectacular team attacks. And for a character like Weiss, that speaks volumes of her devotion to Team RWBY.
Yeah, I guess she really made our plans fall apart.
No. Just no.
What? But you do it.
There's a time and a place for jokes.
Was this not it?
No, it just wasn't very good.
Well, at least I'm trying.
Now, if I made a list of what makes me like a character, Roman Torchwick would have almost none of them. He's had no development, has no established backstory, is rarely serious, and constantly cracks jokes and one-liners.
Always a pleasure.
Then why do I like him so much? Well, a few reasons. One, his weapon is a cane. Sure, it has a gun and a grapple hook, but it's still a cane. How good does a person have to be to make that a viable weapon against a sword or a shotgun? 2. He gets serious when something serious happens and is enjoyably over-the-top giddy at all other times. And that giddiness is exactly what got him on this list. I can only imagine how much fun the writers had in making this character, and what a joy it was for the voice actor to make it his own. Whenever Roman's on screen, I know I'm in for a good time.
People are gonna talk.
He has the attitude I did when I got stuck in a math class that was way too easy for me. I knew I'd pass with flying colors anyway, so I just sat back and enjoyed myself as much as I could. That's the way Roman feels whenever he shows up. Like he knows exactly what the eventual outcome will be, and he's just enjoying the journey. He's a guy that might say, "You'll team up on me? Okay, I'll just fight off the 2 of you with my cane until my henchmen come to attack you with their stolen cargo helicopter." Really, there's nothing else to say. Either you like Roman or you don't, and I really like Roman. Unfortunately for him, there's one character in RWBY whom I like more, and that character is just...
Oh, wonderful.
See if you can figure out who is my favorite RWBY character. I have a team leader, someone who dispenses wisdom and rarely, if ever, fights. A girl who's snarky by default but serious when the situation demands, and a guy who just has way too much fun. Of course, my favorite character in RWBY is Sun Wukong. First of all, the voice acting for this character is done better than any other character in the show. Not that the other characters are done badly, they're just not as phenomenal as this.
Wait a minute, you were a member of the White Fang? Hey, I may have moved to Mistral, but I grew up in Vacuo. It's not exactly a shirt and tie kind of place. Grim masks. That's kind of dark. You sure? You know, I'm just gonna take your word for it.
I have no clue whose idea it was to make the Rage Quit guy the voice of a deeply complex character in an anime, but I wish I could shake their hand and thank them with all my heart for seeing Michael's ability to perform as Sun Wukong when this is a more usual day of work for him.
Wow! Holy f***! I can land on my head from like a 50-foot fucking drop, but driving backwards in a wheelchair will fucking decapitate me? What the f*** kind of is that? Shut up! Stop saying that! No! 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 Are you kidding me? How? How? Put my fucking face on her fucking face!
Since he first showed up, I had no question that I'd like this guy. Sure, his wink to Blake was a bit forward, but the next time we see him, he's been with her for 2 days, just waiting for her to open up to him. And when she finally does, Sun stands by her and supports her attempt to disrupt the White Fang's operations. He doesn't just go with Blake as an observer either. When she gets in over her head, Sun jumps in to take care of business himself. It's one of 2 times in the series so far when Sun participates in a fight, and it is glorious. His movements here remind me of a monkey using every one of its limbs to defeat an opponent, and he just doesn't slow down. It really speaks to me how much he must care for Blake that he'll fight for her so fiercely when Sun's personality is usually so light.
I stole you some food. That's dumb. You should always get friends involved. Finally, she speaks.
Contrast that with how he reacts to Blake's admission of being a faunus. He really wants what's best for her. He'll take time to see an obstacle overcome in the most effective way, regardless of any inconvenience he'll incur in return. When you show me a character who's a combination of the best parts of serious characters, well-written funny characters, and just laid-back dudes, I see someone who must be my favorite character in whatever show they're in.
Leave her alone.
Those are my 5 favorite characters in RWBY. There may be more side characters than main ones on here, but I like the side characters more, so they populate the list. Let me know what your favorite character or characters are in RWBY, and son, keep being awesome.
Easy, I do it all the time.
I know you will. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a nice day.